Welcome to 18th Century Cooking. I'm your host, John Townsend, and I am joined today in the kitchen, special guest, Michael Dragoo. He has brought a fascinating recipe for us. It's shrimp sauce. It's not a sauce for shrimp, it's a sauce from shrimp. Thanks for joining us today as we savor the flavors and the aromas of the 18th century. Let us set the stage for this recipe because it's nuanced. There's more to it than just a simple recipe.
This comes from the English Art of Cookery, 1788. Take half a pint of picked shrimps, wash them clean, put them in a stew pan with a gill of gravy or water. Add half a pound of butter, some butter mixed with flour, a spoonful of anchovy liquor, 1 of ketchup, half a lemon. Boil till the butter is melted and is thick and smooth. Take the lemon out and squeeze the juice in, stir it about, and put it in a sauce boat.
So we've got some problems here when we read this initially. Okay, what's exactly going on here? The shrimp, that's easy, but we have a couple of concepts. One of them, they mention ketchup, right? Yep. Which isn't the ketchup that we would think of today. And then, of course, this idea of anchovy liquor. Okay, now what's going on here? We also have gravy, and these two things are actually going together. The gravy is drippings from meat, and the anchovy liquor is actually almost exactly the same thing. That's drippings from cooked fish, in this case, cooked anchovies. Today, anchovies don't come like that. We don't get fresh anchovies from the store and cook them. In the 18th century, they would have, and the liquor that came off of that, or the liquid that came off of that, that's what we would be using in this. So we're gonna have to interpret that a little bit in a modern sense.
The good gravy is, they just talk about a gravy or a good gravy over and over again in these recipes, and it's whatever meats you had drippings from with the addition of whatever root crops you had. In this case, I've got celery, I've got a part of a turnip, mushrooms, I've got some allspice in there, and there's some pork drippings, some beef drippings, and some bacon grease. That's what I put in there because that's what I had. And they would have done the same if they wanted something other than butter or the plain gravies dripping off the meat. Yeah. First thing we need to do is introduce our anchovy liquor, our good gravy, our mushroom ketchup, and our butter into the saucepan and bring it up to a simmer.
So this recipe has several different references to a spoonful, and that can be very confusing to us in our modern sense. You know, we've got a teaspoon specifically, or a tablespoon, and they're very standardized in the 18th century. Many times it just says a spoonful. Generally, we can guess that when it says a spoonful, it's something like a tablespoon. So we're gonna use a large spoonful in this recipe.
So what we're doing right now is we're adding some flour mixed into butter, just as much flour as we can pack into the butter. They weren't creating roux at the time like we're used to now. They were pushing butter and flour together and then adding that to their soup or stew or whatever. And we're also going to add this half a lemon. And at first we just put it face down and let it simmer along with the broth. And after we're done, we're going to squeeze it on top. And the last step is adding the shrimp. We just want to get them pink on each side. We don't want to overcook them. And once that's done, this dish is done. We're going to pull it off the fire, let it cool a little bit, and put it on a serving plate.
These look wonderful. Michael, so we have already cooked up, this is a sauce, right? So it needs to go on something. We cooked up a couple of steaks, but before we put the sauce on a steak, we should try it just like this.
Yep.
Go ahead.
All right, fingers in.
Yeah.
Here we go.
One for Michael, one for me. Superb.
Oh, I like these.
Very good.
I love these.
That sauce is great.
There's nothing to that sauce, except I never would have used those ingredients if I were preparing shrimp.
Very, very good. Let's try
Wow.
it. Let's try it on steak.
Okay. I like that.
I really like it blended in with the steak. That adds a new level. As is all by itself, you know, it would be like, you know, the shrimp cooked in the butter, and then it's got some extra flavors in there. And there's definitely more flavor there than just shrimp cooked in butter. But it blends so well. It's a very smooth, you know, not separate notes. And
I don't pick out
the meat is great.
I don't pick out the individual ingredients, but they're there. I mean,
right, and it's the you know in this one you might worry. It's like it's got anchovy liquor in there. It's got anchovy juice. No, I don't want that. No, it's perfect in this. So this is it. This is 18th century surf and turf. Excellent recipe, Michael. Thank you so much for bringing this.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for coming along with us as we savor the flavors and the aromas of the 18th century.